One of my favorite PlayStation exclusives of all time, guys, and I'm sure a lot of us can agree with this one, Uncharted. I gotta say, guys, this has been a franchise that has captivated me in many ways. I mean, at the time when I first started playing the Uncharted games, I gotta say that they were the best games I had ever played on PlayStation, and they were some of the best games I'd ever played ever all time as far as from a story narrative perspective. Until I started playing The Last of Us, and then that kind of took the throne, even though, of course, Uncharted is almost neck and neck with The Last of Us. I'd probably put The Last of Us a little bit above it, but Uncharted is a spectacle, guys. It's an incredible franchise. And so, one thing that I've been wanting and I've been talking to a lot of my friends about and people actually on social media and such is the continuation of this franchise. Uncharted 5, guys, we're going to talk about here in this last segment of the show why Uncharted 5 needs to exist and why it should exist, guys. And I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this in the comment section below. Look, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. We can talk about all day how they perfectly crafted this franchise in a way in which, guys, when I talk about Naughty Dog, these guys are taking an aggressive approach to be one of the best, if not the best, game developer in the world. And I don't think there's any debate about that. They are really they're trying very hard, guys. I mean, obviously with on the Uncharted series to the Last of Us series, they're reminding me kind of like what Rockstar does. You know, Rockstar, every time a Rockstar game comes out, they're kind of, raising the bar, trying to make their games even better and better as they go. And I think that Naughty Dog is doing some of the same. Uncharted, even though Uncharted 4, I've got to say, guys, it's one of the greatest stretches in video game history when it comes to a narrative perspective. Those first four games were incredible, guys. Just such an incredible experience. Each one just kept on raising the bar just a little bit or even majorly, right? And ultimately, guys, I thought that Uncharted is almost perfect, like how it is, right? Those four games, you don't even necessarily need to continue it, right? Now, The Lost Legacy came out. I wish that wasn't the last memory I have of Uncharted. Not because it was a bad experience, but it just wasn't as good as those four, original games. I wish that The Lost Legacy would have came out like after Uncharted 3, and then we would have had Uncharted 4, and that would have been the last memory we had. But what I'll say is this, guys. When I remember back to Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2, I gotta say, they were just incredible experiences. The third one, I thought that the third one, guys, wasn't actually as good as the second. I thought it might, I thought the third one was really good, but the second one has a really special place in my heart. And the fourth one I do think is the best out of the entire franchise. So they've really raised the bar overall, guys, in this franchise. Now, why Uncharted 5? Well, here's the thing, guys. Why, as a franchise, as a whole, Nathan Drake's story seems to be over, right? It seems to be over. But it feels to me like the torch could be passed onwards to someone else and in the franchise. And I gotta say that I think it might be time. Like, I look at games like that it's worked in the past. Like, you look at Gears of War, right? Gears of War, we had Marcus Phoenix, who's the main character for 3 games, right? And then you had a couple of other, you had Gears Ultimate Edition, you had Gears of War Judgment, which, Gears of War Judgment, I don't even really think of that necessarily in the main story, right? But then you get Gears of War 4, and the torch is passed from Marcus to JD, his son. And then from there, the torch is passed from JD to Kate Diaz from Gears 4 to Gears 5. And so what I'm getting at here, guys, is that Uncharted is something similar to me from a narrative perspective, that you could have Nathan Drake continue to be in the games, but he's just not the main character anymore. He's not the one that's helming it. And I think that Naughty Dog may very well be thinking about doing this at some point in the future, like having Nathan Drake as he's there, right? He's a character, but he's not like the main character. He's not the person that you're playing as, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, Marcus Phoenix, he's in basically all the Gears of War games up to this point, even when he's as a side character. He's not the playable character. And I think that's fine, as long as he's like there at least, and we kind of see how his story is progressing as time goes, it's all good. Uncharted, guys, is a in my opinion, is a franchise that deserves to continue. And I think they were doing something really special with Uncharted 4 as well, with the multiplayer experience. It was pretty special, guys. And so I think that that's something that Naughty Dog needs to continue doing as well, is the multiplayer experience as well as a narrative experience and some co-op experiences. Continuing having those full packages. Uncharted is a franchise that deserves to continue in the next gen consoles. Without a doubt. And obviously it would probably be an exclusive to PlayStation once again, which is basically all the Naughty Dog titles are at this point. But that's okay. Uncharted 5 should exist, guys, because of what they've built so far. Now, there's always the flip side of this, right? There's going to be a lot of people saying, well, we don't need an Uncharted 5. If they make it, it might ruin the franchise. That's true. Maybe it will. But maybe it won't, right? Because could you sit here and say that The Lost Legacy ruined the franchise? Look, it's probably the least favorite of all the Uncharteds, in my personal opinion, when we talk about the overall franchise of Uncharted. In my opinion, it's the worst addition to the franchise. Now, what I will say about that, though, is that I'm glad it exists in Uncharted. I'm glad that it's there. It's like another way that you can connect with the franchise. And they had some interesting, kind of connections and such within Uncharted The Lost Legacy. But why not continue it? And, sure, you're taking chances, but you take chances anytime you're continuing a franchise. Look, The Last of Us 2 isn't out yet, but they're taking some chances there with making another one. The expectations are so high right now, and then after you hit those expectations or you exceed them, then the expectations are even higher after that. What I think, guys, is that Uncharted, I think there's still a lot more story to be told there. More story, in Nathan Drake's life or, his family's life, whether you take the helm of one of his family members or who knows? Or it's a completely new character that somehow gets, works with Nathan Drake or, whatever it might be, guys. There's a million different ways that you could take the story, but the idea is that the story continues. It's not over yet, right? I look at it, and I'm not saying just to make these games just for the sake of making more games. I'm saying that this is a franchise that should continue for years and years to come because they're just so good. I mean, we look at games, guys, that come out every year. Call of Duty comes out every year, and they are consistently, there's times where there's, there's peaks and valleys where there's some games that are amazing. There's other games that aren't as good, right? But they're consistently coming out there, and for years upon years, who knows? I mean, we might have Call of Duties every year for the next 20 years or something. I mean, it's hard to say, right? So the same thing can be said with something like Uncharted. It would be really cool to have these games that you get one or two titles every console generation. That way that people, as time goes, are able to connect with those franchises sooner or later. And I think that there's something there, guys. I really do. I still think that there's still a lot of story left to be told. Maybe Nathan Drake's story overall has been told from a player's perspective of us controlling him as our character. That story may be totally told at this point, and you don't want to kind of continue that and maybe risk harming the legacy of Uncharted, but passing the torch onwards to someone else. I think that would be a really cool thing, guys. I really do. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below as to why you think Uncharted 5 should exist or why you think it shouldn't exist. I've kind of given my, I kind of both sides to what I think. I believe personally that it should exist. I'm happy with having those 4 games, obviously, guys. But I want to see more. I do. I would love to see more. I think they were doing something special with the multiplayer experience. So I would like to see more. But I totally understand why they might not want to, come back to Uncharted just because, they feel maybe that story's been told and they want to move on to other pastures. But who knows, guys? Maybe Uncharted 5 will come out one day, and I'll certainly be there to support it if they decide to do that. But like I said, guys, I'd love to hear from all of you. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more Uncharted 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.